Real people, real stories, meet hope. Welcome to Healing Connections, a podcast powered by United Way of Erie County. Each episode brings you raw, honest conversations about mental health, addiction, resilience, and recovery. Through every episode, we lift the silence and make space for healing because no one should have to struggle alone.
Healing Connections podcast. Episodes were made possible by the Alcohol, Drug Addiction, and Mental Health Services Board of Erie County.
EJ Brinson, host of Healing Connections, is the creator and producer of the podcast, dedicated to breaking down stigma and driving actionable change around mental health and addiction. With over 20 years of experience in nonprofit leadership and program development, he currently serves as CEO of United Way of Erie County. Meet our special guests, Mary Supina and Mary Supina. Mary Supina is the executive director, artist, and has 51 years in recovery. He is co-founder of Sandusky Artisans Recovery Community Center, has led community outreach, and launched innovative programs like Camp Recovery and mass displays. Mary Supina is the co-founder of Sandusky Artisans Recovery Community Center and integral leader in combining art and recovery initiative. She has served 36 plus years in recovery. The Supinas have built more than just a recovery center. They've cultivated a healing environment where creativity meets community. Their approach harnesses the power of art to foster connection, peer support, and recovery. By placing art at the center of healing, they've made profound, lasting impacts not only in Sandusky, but across Ohio.
All right. Well, welcome to United Way of Erie County's Healing Connections, where hope and stories meet to help break down stigma in mental health and addiction. Today, we have a very, very special guest, actually two guests from the Artisans. It's my great friend, Joey Supina and Mary Supina. And I'm had the privilege of working with them in the community and looking to do a lot of things with United Way of Erie County's Healing Connections to help reach people right where they are. So, Joey and Mary, welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
How you doing today?
Great.
Good.
Right. All right. Well, could you share a little bit about the Artisans with us?
The Artisans is a peer-run organization, grassroots organization, boots on the ground, to help people that either have a substance use disorder or a mental health challenge to support them in their recovery, to find their way to recovery. Recovery for me was attractive because I heard someone else's stories, and our stories have power.
Absolutely.
That if I can hear your story and relate to where you came from and see what you overcame, then maybe I can do that too. And we offer that availability through different groups to come and participate. We also do outreach events. We do an annual recovery walk just to educate the community that recovery is alive and in the community, and there are people in recovery. And we would really like to thank the United Way of Erie County for helping us with our recovery cafe that we started on the first floor in the gallery. We hope to continue that partnership in the future. Welcome to our gallery and recovery cafe. The recovery cafe was made possible with funding through United Way of Erie County. We were able to purchase comfortable seating, a coffee station, the tables, chairs, TV that we use for trainings. It's a comfortable space for people that are looking for a safe place to be, to come on in, sit down, have a cup of coffee, bottle of water, watch some TV. If they want to know what's going on, there's the receptionist desk when they come inside the front door. And we use art. Art is a way of expressing what we sometimes can't always say into words. Come on, I'll show you a painting. The name of this painting is Hostage. And to anyone who's been addicted to anything, it could be food, it could be a lot gambling, drugs, alcohol. In active addiction, I felt like a hostage. I was controlled by the alcohol and drugs I put into my body every day. And once I found recovery, I was able to be released from that bondage and be free. A lot of the paintings in the gallery have recovery messages. It speaks to people who are addicted and have found their way into recovery. Sandusky Artisans offers a lot of recovery support services, which are here to support the person with a substance use disorder or a mental health challenge. If you come in, we will try to direct you to the group that best fits you. If we can't help you, we will direct you to the resource in our community that can help you. All are welcome here.
Absolutely. We definitely have to look at that. I mean, we want to make sure we collaborate. Part of what United Way is to mobilize the community action so that all can thrive. So we definitely need to revisit and how we can best partner around mental health and addiction.
To join United Way Healing Connections community, email us at healingconnections@uweriecounty.org. Take steps towards a healthier, more connected you. As a member, you'll receive Power Me Gratitude Journals, a 30-day guided journey to self-care, access to educational workshops from our partners at the Center of Healing, and up-to-date information about Healing Connections podcasts and initiatives. About our workshop partner, the Center of Healing, they offer more than just programs supporting the well-being of our community through workshops and individual mental health counseling. Payment options include multiple insurance plans, EAPs, and private pay, making care accessible to all.
Joy, thank you. Thank you for coming on. We've had some time to spend in the community as well. Prior to coming onto the show, I asked for you to share a few songs with me and also some images and some colors of what will get you through a hard, tough week. And I think that that's important to have for us for self-care and to move us through those days that's kind of hard in our journey. And so in some ways, when I think about mental health and I think about self-care, I think about art because there's so much that it does for us, and then also what we can actually do to apply it to help others as well. And I know that you're an artist yourself, right?
Yes, I am.
Right. And you shared an image with me for prior to coming.
Right.
You want to share a little bit about the fruition of the seed of violence?
Sure. The fruition of the seeds of violence. There was a monk during the Vietnam war era, who was a very good friend of Thich Nhat Hanh. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your viewpoint, he self-immolated himself in protest to the war. And his very good friend, Thich Nhat Hanh, who just recently died, I think, about 3 years ago, so probably about 98 years old, mentioned that, we have seeds that are in us, and which seeds we water and manage and take care of will be the seeds that we will produce, the fruition of what we'll produce. And that painting that I did was to show that those seeds of violence were in contest with each other. And it was really just kind of a throwback for me to remember when we were talking about the songs, that era that I kind of came of age in was kind of tumultuous, and there was a lot of violence. And unfortunately, a lot of folks who didn't make it. Let's just put it that way.
Right. I know I was moved by the image, and I'm sure our guests on the podcast are moved by the image as well. You remember the songs that you shared with me?
For whatever reason, I grew up in Cleveland, and I would just say that when I heard the song "Born to Be Wild," it was almost a siren song for me, and I was drawn to that lifestyle. I was a young man, and I just continued to not really pay attention to what was really valuable in life, what I was taught to do the right thing. I kind of started to do my thing. And that second song reflected the era that I was coming of age in.
Right.
There was a lot of 1968 was a very violent year. I mean, there was but 63 John F. Kennedy got assassinated. 5 years later, Martin Luther King, his brother Robert Kennedy was assassinated. There was a lot of violence in the streets, and so as a young man, not really prepared for that, not understanding it, became, I think my response unwittingly was to just kind of drop out and just do my thing.
Yeah.
And, unfortunately, my thing, as I said in the first line, was born to be wild. You can only, there's a karma effect here. You do good things happen.
Right.
Do bad things happen. And the final song that I recommended that I would put in there was Verdi's Requiem.
Right.
And really what that's about is asking for forgiveness.
Yeah.
And looking back in my life now at this age, I can see there is a tapestry there that is kind of made sense now, that the part that was probably not something that I would recommend young people to do was necessary for me to become the person that I became.
Right.
I think the only way I could learn was the hard way. And I may not know what to do, but I now know what not to do.
Yeah.
And that's a big advancement for me.
Right.
So.
Right. Well, I have a surprise for you. So one of the things I did listen to the songs, Born to Be Wild is a song I heard growing up.
Yeah.
I didn't hear much of Monster, Suicide America, which is by the same artist.
Right, Steppenwolf.
Yeah, I did see that song as like a protest song. I'm not sure how, that's kind of how I kind of seen it when I listened to it. And the other song I loved. It felt like a redemption song. So kind of got that same parallel with you.
Yeah.
And one of the things, as I mentioned earlier about creativity and art, is here at United Way Healing Connections, is we want to give you a remix album, right? And so what we did is we created a drawing for you here. We can show you what.
Oh yeah, that's my fruition of the Scenes of Violence with your additions.
Yeah,
I really like that.
A little bit of additions to it, and then if you flip it over at the back of it.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yes.
And push your 3 songs on there, because I think that what's important is we all need something to help us move through our weeks when it gets kind of tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I play those songs, it kind of takes me back. There's a lot to be said for music is moving a person's soul.
Right.
And these songs, when I listen to them, I feel very grateful that I'm blessed to be in a country that I'm in, and I'm able to help others maybe find a way. Because I believe in my own life, if you would have met me back in those years, I was really lost.
Right. Well, can you share a little bit, since you mentioned that, can you share a little bit about your life growing up?
I grew up in Cleveland. My dad was World War II veteran.
Okay.
My uncles were too. They were, my dad was, I think he had 7 Bronze Stars. My uncles were, I now look back on that, and I realized that war really affected them in different ways.
Okay.
I just think my dad was glad to be home.
Yeah.
My dad was a good man. Not that my uncles weren't either, but each one of them was affected differently. And in my neighborhood where I grew up, I was a lot of my neighborhood. I had like about 10 kids I grew up on a dead end street next to a railroad track.
Right.
I was like 2 doors away from a railroad track, and the street was literally outside my window. I got 10 feet. I was out on the street. I was kind of a street kid, and my compatriots at that time, all my young friends, most of their fathers had been in World War II too.
Mm-hmm.
So we had this kind of growing up, and I was in an area of Cleveland. It was somewhat, I think they called it between the tracks.
Okay.
It was an area called between the tracks, and it was kind of isolated, but yet we were part of the broader community. And Cleveland was at that time, I believe, the 6th or 7th largest city in the United States. Very heavy industrial.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of unions, a lot of blue collar. That's where I kind of cut my teeth, so to speak.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I was always drawn for the easy buck. And that usually involved doing things that were against the law. I always thought I was smarter than whatever the law, what I really wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
But back in those days, there were no cameras.
Right.
There was no way of really tracking you with your cell phone like there is today.
Right.
So I'm not saying that that it's. I'm just saying it was easier.
Yeah.
To do things and get away with them.
Right.
If nobody saw you doing them.
Right.
And from a very early age, I had my first job when I was 13. I worked in a Italian supermarket, and I had access to all the cigarettes and whiskey, beer and wine
Wow.
that I wanted, And so, I wasn't able to buy those things, so those things became pilfered.
A little bit about going off and you into a lot. Would you say like crime?
Yeah, I was. There's things that I won't. Out of respect for people that I've known in the past, I just let's just say this. Very few of my friends. I hate to use the word friends. Let's use the word associates. Very few of my associates got out of their 20s without either being incarcerated or hospitalized in such a way that they their lives were cut short,
right,
or they were harmed in such a way that they were physically unable to continue the lifestyle that we had been accustomed.
Right. And I guess I asked it in that way in regards to when you think about lifestyle and some of what you had mentioned or some of our previous conversations about growing up and being involved in a lot very young. I think at one particular time when we talked previously, you were talking about you love to party.
Oh,
You love to have a good time and a variety of different things you got into. And what I think what's important is for young people out there, or even people that's living that life right now, when you think about having a good time, what is that? What did that look like for you, having a good time?
Well, now that as an older person looking back, it really wasn't so much, don't get me wrong, not that I didn't feel good, but I think I was more addicted. I was addicted to the lifestyle.
Okay.
I was addicted to excitement. And generally speaking, the excitement that I'm talking about, it's not a ride at Cedar Point. This is like maybe eluding the police or breaking and entering or doing something, getting an adrenaline rush, being with other people that are doing the same thing. When I was a younger man, I was a little more tribal than I am today.
Okay.
And, it was this cohesive unit of men that I knew, and I'll use that term loosely, that I thought were my allies, friends, when really they really weren't. Not that they were birds of a feather flock together. And they were not loyal to me, and I really wasn't loyal to them, even though we might have said that.
Okay. You mentioned lifestyle. What habits or decisions pulled you deeper into that lifestyle? Like, where did you drink? Smoke?
I drank, drugged. There comes a point where, and I'm speaking for myself now, I can't speak for anyone else, that initially it would be probably the easiest way of saying this. when I was a younger man in my teenage years, early teenage years, I couldn't tell you when I had my first drink. I mean, it was just part of our family,
Mm.
but I know that when I first started to do what I was doing, it was usually starting like on a Friday night,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a Saturday, and then it would become, let's do Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
Right.
and then it became Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then it became Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And when that happened, I mean, not that I was aware of it, because I just wasn't, but I wouldn't consider myself aware of the things that were really going on in my life. I lived a life that I now look back, it was dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
But and I'm not saying that people didn't say that to me back then. I just blew them off because for whatever reason, I thought I was indestructible. I got knocked off my motorcycle one time. There were more than one accident, but one time I got knocked from the corner of, I don't want to give the address, but it was about almost a full block,
Okay.
and they rushed me to the hospital. It would have been Saturday night, Sunday morning.
Mhm.
On Monday, I left. I had my friends come and get me. They had me in intensive care originally. Then they stepped me down, and I left AMA. That's how stupid I was.
Mhm.
I couldn't even walk out of the hospital. My friends had they take you in a wheelchair, but they had to literally carry me out.
Right.
And I didn't think anything of it
Right.
other than how bad is my bike.
Right. For those who don't really understand addiction, how would you describe what it was like to feel stuck in addiction?
I did not know I was stuck.
Okay.
It was just my life.
Yeah.
And there were probably moments of like just brief moments of like, well, I would blame everybody else. I would blame this friend, or I shouldn't have been here. I got to quit doing this. I never blamed the drug. I never blamed the alcohol. I never did that. I blamed everybody else. I blamed the police. I blamed whoever it was. It was convenient for me, so I would never really have to address. I mean, I'm rationally speaking now, thinking about this. Back in those days, this was a conversation that I wouldn't even have with myself. It would just be, I'm just going to do what I want to do
Yeah.
and do it now, and you cannot go through life like that without running up against someone that doesn't agree with you.
Yeah. So what was the final moment? What made you say, you know what, I can't do this anymore?
There, I got to be very careful here.
Okay.
Yeah, there were, I woke up I was passed out, literally passed out on a sofa, and the room was filled with Cleveland policemen.
Hmm.
And they started to ask me some questions about possible kidnapping. And quite frankly, um, the one cop said to the other cop, because I was passed out, he said, this guy couldn't kidnap himself. You know? So,
Wow.
how I remember that. But they left. So I don't know how it is today, but the police showed up. I didn't go to jail.
Mm-hmm.
My associates wanted to know why I didn't go to jail. That's not a good look.
Right.
In the street. That did I say something? And I know I didn't say anything because I was incapable of even knowing where the heck I was at. But on the street, the word got back to me that that might be a very dangerous position for me to be in.
Yeah.
and I needed to get out of town, which was just standard operational procedure for me. I would always just leave, go to New York City or Boston, or just leave for a month or two, let the heat kind of die down.
Yeah.
And this particular time, I was so impacted with drugs and alcohol that I literally, I couldn't function.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to do. And I found and this is where I think there's a divine purpose for all of us. I found myself on the phone back in the day with a payphone, in a bar across the street from the stockyards in Cleveland. And this is not a fancy bar.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if you've ever been to a bar near a stockyards, but it's not, nobody's drinking cocktails there. Let's just put it that way. And I found myself on the phone calling the central office of a 12-step program. I don't know. I don't even know why, other than it had to be, like I said, the hand of some divine principle entering in my life. And I found myself going to my first meeting, of this 12-step program, and completely oblivious to what they were saying. I was more concerned about the people that were in the room, if they knew me, that kind of thing. And I was trying to, technically what I was trying to do was just maybe quit jonesing, kind of come down and leave town.
Yeah.
I was just going to lay low for about a week.
Right.
And back then, I knew that the people that might be looking for me would never look for me in a church.
Yeah.
And never look for me in a 12-step program.
Right.
So I felt somewhat safe for 1 hour or two a night. And these guys came over and picked me up every night.
Okay.
And I was staying with my parents, and I was really concerned that these gentlemen or my associates would hurt my parents. So, it was really, really a bad situation.
Okay. So other than being fearful of your life, early in recovery, what fears did you face and what gave you hope?
What gave me hope?
Yeah.
As Mary said, I heard these stories.
Yeah. When
I hear other people say what they had done, now, understandably, not everyone does the same thing. Everybody's journey is different. But the underlying issue was addiction. And eventually, I recognized these years later that not only is there underlying problems of addiction, but there's mental health challenges there too. They may not be obvious in the beginning, but if one really looks at one's life and starts to really, in a sober, clear-headed way, you can kind of identify, oh, I might have been this, or I might have had this. If somebody could have diagnosed me way back when, and back in those days, mental health wasn't really talked about like it is today.
It's a huge stigma.
Yeah, very, very, and so was alcohol and drugs.
Right.
I mean, it was just.
So I guess what I'm hearing you talk about is maybe like trauma.
Yes, trauma.
And then that trauma elevates into, addiction.
It's a coping mechanism. Yeah. I would, my mom and dad treated me good. So it wasn't like my parents were bad to me, but the neighborhood and my environment and my associates, for whatever reason, if somebody was to ask me, what was the third grade like? And I would say, well, there was 3 fights. How was the 4th grade? Well, there was 5 fights. That's the way there were certain parts of my neighborhood I wouldn't go because I just knew you're going to get jumped or whatever. And I look at that now, and back then it was just the way of life. Now I look at it, I go like, that's trauma. You know, it's traumatic for a young person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it doesn't have all the wherewithal, and maybe have mentors that can help them kind of go through that minefield and come out the other end. And actually, you know, now that I look back on it, thankfully there were, like Mary said, I heard these stories, and I thought, well, if that person could do it. There's a gentleman that I heard very early on. And I will not mention his name because I don't want to break anyone's anonymity, but he suffered a loss of 9 children in one incident, and he never picked up. And I heard that story, and I went, man, I'd have picked up. And I thought, there's something here.
Yeah.
There's something here. And I seen the community surround him. There were a community of people trying to do the right thing, being sober and clean around him to help him get through that. And, you know, I know this much. He died clean and sober. An old man, you know, lived, I don't know how many years sober and clean. But those are the kind of stories that compelled me to go like, man, you ain't got that.
Right. Other than the stories, what tools or habits today help you stay grounded and continuing your journey to
Every morning, I get up, I do a daily meditation. There's times during the day that I will reflect how grateful I should be. I attend recovery meetings. I mean, I either attend them in person or I attend them on Zoom. My whole life is where we work. Not even call it work.
Yeah.
It's where we are at.
Right.
I will use the word ministry, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the best way to put it. We are surrounded by people that are seeking the same goal.
Right.
At the end of the day, Mary and I say a prayer together.
Okay.
It's just the way we end our day, and then a kiss. And that's just who we've become,
right,
over the years.
That's powerful.
We met each other in recovery. Now, that's not always the case, but for us, that's our journey.
Violence Federal Credit Union is a supporting sponsor of United Way Healing Connections podcast. They are a not-for-profit, community-oriented credit union serving Erie, Huron, and Crawford counties since 1957. They make banking simple so that you can focus on what matters most. Their mission is to strengthen their communities and improve lives by providing access to stress-free banking products, financial education, and locally tailored services. Sandusky Artisans Recovery Community Center is a supporting sponsor. Sandusky Artisans Recovery Community Center envisions a world community where recovery from substance use and/or mental health challenges are viewed as a public health issue. Sandusky Artisans Recovery Community Center promotes universal access to prevention, treatment, and recovery, and the immediate resources to support and achieve those goals of health and wellness, to lead a self-directed life and to reach the full potential that long-term recovery brings, free from stigma and discrimination.
So we're talking about the journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
What lessons from your story could help others from going down that same path?
I think it's just not my story. It's addiction. Speaking of addiction, happens in isolation, and recovery happens in community. And it's true that is true for the most part for people that have a mental health challenge. It's really difficult to go it alone. I'm sure there are people that can do that. I knew that I was beat. There is a power greater than oneself. I would recommend that person get their version of what whatever their higher power is and incorporate that in their life. When they're probably doing that, they're going to probably be doing that with people that are doing the same thing. So they're going to probably be surrounded by people that are like-minded, that are seeking a higher power and turning their life and their will over to that higher power as best as they can. And with that in mind, you might be, for me, going back to my original, I didn't go to no treatment center. I literally walked in off the streets, literally got dropped off. Didn't even have anybody go in with me to my very first meeting. I was dropped off and I went in there. And so what happens is it's a program. These are meetings of attraction rather than promotion. No one's promoting necessarily, you need to come here, you need to do that. What happens is there's these opportunities to go, even to a church, and you sit there wherever you feel comfortable and you're attracted, I would say stay. Now, I may not have, I know this much, that I've had issues in my life that were compelling. I would go to, I'll say, a meeting or a church or whatever. I would leave that meeting or church or wherever. The problem was usually still there, but it wasn't trouble. It was manageable. By being surrounded by other people that were giving me good and solid advice, or what they had done in their lives, I just try to emulate that.
Yeah.
And I remember saying this one time to a very good friend of mine. I think I don't want to break his anonymity, but he was very early on in the program. And I once asked him, because I was having a rough spot in my early recovery. And I said to him, now that I'm trying to do the right thing, I'm not doing the things that I used to do. Why are these things happening to me now?
Mm-hmm.
And he looked at me and he said, these things that are happening to you now that are bad are happening to you so that when worse things happen, you'll be able to handle them.
Wow.
And when he said that, I was like, I didn't like that answer, but it was true.
Yeah.
And I knew that he wasn't trying to sugarcoat it, like everything's going to be fine. You're going to get through this. And then he also said, someday, when something similar happens to someone you haven't met yet, and you tell your story, they'll hear that story and go up to you and say, how did you do that? How did you get through that? And so with a higher power, with people in community that are doing the same things, it can be accomplished one day at a time. I'm not going to worry about what's going to happen at Christmas.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to worry about the 4th of July or Memorial Day, which is like about a week away. I'm not going to worry about that. What I'm going to worry about is right now. I bring myself to the present. It's called mindfulness, and I just go like, there's nothing other than the single purpose of the present moment. This is it, and this is eternity right now. And every time it becomes now. And I think with that knowledge that I've been given 77 years on this planet.
Wow.
And 51 of them clean and sober, drug-free.
Wow.
That is a gift that is not necessarily, that is a privilege that isn't necessarily given to everyone. And I'm not sure why I have that, but I don't want to waste it. And in order to keep it, I have to give it away.
Yeah.
And if I don't do that, I'm like a thief that comes in, gets what he needs, and leaves. I get what I need, and I say, here, how would you like some?
Yeah.
Here's, that's what I think that's probably the easiest way of describing how I have lived my life.
Thanks for sharing that. I know that's going to mean a lot to a lot of people in the audience that's watching this. And it's very powerful to hear that. One thing I was just thinking is, there's probably like a 17, 18, 19-year-old person watching this, maybe even somebody in their 20s and 30s.
Mhm.
What do you wish you could share with them about, staying away from certain lifestyles, drugs and alcohol, to kind of get some help prior to addiction? What would you share with them from, going down that path?
I'm speaking for myself, that no matter what I said to myself with my mind
Mhm.
when I was doing something wrong, because I could lie to myself real easy.
Yeah.
There was a part of me that knew that I was doing the wrong thing. It was just, and I would not allow that part to overtake the part that I want to do what I want to do, now. What I would say, if I could have fostered that ability to listen to that, what some people might call a conscience, if I would have listened to that little small, conscious, still small voice saying to me, don't do this. If I could foster that with other people that I look at, men and women of integrity, find them, try to surround yourself with those folks wherever you find them, whether it be in a church or some program or a counselor or whatever. Foster that beginning. And if you look well to your beginnings, the rest will result good no matter what. Take care of your beginnings.
Right. One final thought.
Sure.
Or one final question. Is there anything from you, Mary, or Joe, that you want to share about mental health, addiction, stories of hope and promise? Is there anything that you would want to share with the people watching today?
I just think, it comes back to the stories and the wanting to help others find recovery and not have that struggle in their life of wanting to share it with others. And I think, it's not only do we deal in hope, but by sharing and someone relating, it actually empowers them or gives them permission to maybe take that step. And the thing about recovery is there's somebody to grab your hand and say, you don't have to do this alone. I'll do it with you. And I think, all things, whether it be recovery from mental illness or recovery from substance use, it's scary when we don't know what's going to happen, all things that we don't know are usually scary.
Yeah.
And it's not that it's still not scary, but at least you're not going on your own.
Yeah.
You got somebody to go with you. And I think that makes a huge difference.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I would just say, and Mary's absolutely right, there's like 5 things you really need to really get a program of recovery in your life. And the first thing is, she said, hope. You hear the message that, hey, this guy, this girl did this, maybe I can. That little glimmer of hope. And then you want to get healthy. That's body and mind. And you get hope, you get healthy, you get a home. And what I mean by a home, not everyone is blessed with a residence where people love you. So what you need is not to have just an address. You need to have a place where you feel loved. That might be a halfway house. That might be, I don't know, someplace where recovery meeting where you go, or your church where you're loved. So you need hope, health, home. Then you need a purpose. And when you start to substantially start to move forward in your life, and you have gained some insight, your purpose now is to share that with other folks that haven't gotten as far as you have gotten. So you got a reason to be doing what you're doing. And the final thing is do it in community.
Yeah, that's important.
And what can I think better than what you guys, United Way?
Mhm.
I mean, it's just that's the solution.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as far as, United Way, one of the reasons why we really want to do is not only just to break down stigma, but just kind of meet people right where they are.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that are struggling, and you know what, they necessarily they are isolated, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if they can hear your story and other stories, that's the healing connection. That's what this is all about. And I was put on my heart. I when I was younger, I helped bring a counseling agency into an inner city. My wife and I purchased a library so individuals could get help. And I see this as another way of us trying to meet those in need right where they are and give them some ways to kind of find help, whether it's the addict or someone that has trauma, behavioral health issues, or somebody that loves them.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that this opportunity, this podcast, will reach at least one person, help transform at least one person to get the help that's needed. I'm very thankful for both of you for coming on the show today. And part of showing our gratitude, we want people to continue in their journey. And so in doing that, I like to be actionable about what I do. I like my words and my actions to meet. And so today, what I want to give you both is a gratitude journey. So for the next 30 days, you can utilize this gratitude journal to kind of just think about the power in me. That's what we call it. And I want to share this here with you. That's what it is. It's power in me. We want people to feel that they are worthy and be gratitude. It's 5 minutes in a day, and it goes to a variety of different tools to kind of help you through your journey.
One of the things I did originally when I first started to, I used to journal. I recommend journal.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Well, this is really, for people that don't journal,
It's a nice way
it
to
helps
start.
you, with some prompts, take some breaths.
Yeah.
What are you grateful for today? So it will foster that. Maybe once their 30 days are over, they'll just continue on.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
Thank
this
you.
is great.
Yeah. So again, thank you so much for coming on to United Way of Erie County's Healing Connections.
And thank you.
You're most definitely welcome. Is there anything you would say that we should incorporate into the podcast?
Well, I think you got a really great, this is the way to reach people that are maybe not.
Young people, especially.
Yeah. And everyone's welcome at our center. Everything we do there is free. It's no charge. People are more than welcome to come in, and it's because of folks like United Way, which made the recovery gallery, recovery cafe possible. We're deeply appreciative.
Okay, we are appreciative as well. Is there a website? How can they contact you? Is there a phone number?
You can follow us on Facebook, Sandusky Artisans Recovery Community Center. Our monthly calendar is always up, and our web address is sanduskyartisansrecovery.com. And our phone number is 419-621-9377.
Thank you.
If this episode moved you, inspired you, or reminded you why healing matters, consider donating to the Healing Connections podcast. Your support helps us keep sharing real stories lifting real voices and bringing hope to our community. Together we heal, together we rise.